Now, from Into Tomorrow, this is an ITTV special report.
Always a pleasure to introduce our next guest, who we get on as often as we can because there's always a plethora of cool information coming from this guy. He's the Public Relations Manager for Intel, Dan Snyder. Dan, welcome back Into Tomorrow. How are you?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Doing fine as we travel the globe doing all the fun things that we get to do, but This is certainly a great event. First, thank you to yourself and the folks at Intel for hosting the broadcast here at the Game Developers Conference. We're delighted to be part of the big Intel exhibit with a lot of cool stuff going on, and that's an understatement, I think.
Oh, yeah. Tons of stuff going on here at GDC.
And, of course, the big buzz, as everybody's asking about the processor and power and speed and the ability to just run the most massive games imaginable. You're delivering, as always.
Right, here at the Game Developers Conference. So we're doing a special preview of a product we're going to have launched by the time you're hearing this interview, the Core i7-980X. This is 6-core, 12-thread.
Holy
so it's like
cow.
12 brains on this thing. Let's just say any game you can throw at this, it's going to chew it up for lunch.
Wow. And, of course, that does give us all the ability to just run a game the way it should be.
Absolutely. No CPU bottlenecks. We got developers like Sega Creative Assembly with their Napoleon Total War that just came out.
Yes.
They're doing things in this game that they couldn't do before because of these extra cores, these extra brains they can utilize. So they can do things like make the battles more realistic, make these people move individually with artificial intelligence and smartly, as opposed to a big blob of soldiers coming at you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you truly can immerse yourself in a game a whole lot more when it's that accurate.
Right.
And that's amazing. And, of course, Dan and Jeff and the team here at Intel provided us with several digital download coupons for the full version of this Napoleon Total War. And all you have to do is participate on the show in the next couple of weeks, and you may very well win one. And I'm holding it up to the camera now. See, that's what the coupons look like. Very cool stuff. But then you want to make sure that you've got this new Core i7 processor to really experience everything.
Now
this is like $1,000 processor, right?
Yeah, this is expensive. So we know this is not for everyone. This is the Ferrari of processors.
Yep.
You know, this is not something that my grandma is going to go down to Best Buy tomorrow and buy to do solitaire and crocheting.
Or just
programs,
surf the web or something.
Yeah, exactly. This is for someone that really wants and needs power.
And it provides it. You talked about the 12 computing threads. Now, does that take and do different functions and one of these major high-powered games like Total War, for example? Will these individual threads say, I got you covered for this and that, and you just play, have fun?
Exactly. So basically, the game will know, hey, I've got 12 brains to work with here. I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that. So a game could give the soundtrack to one of them, the artificial intelligence to a couple of them. There's something called physics, which you've talked about a lot of people on your show, which means that things behave as they would in the real world. So a flag doesn't just move left and right, it ripples and all that kind of stuff.
And, for example, the game Ruse that you're showing here, too, from Ubisoft, that's another one that's taking advantage of this new processor, doing some amazing things. I mean, you've just not seen gaming graphics until you've seen this with this processor.
Yeah. Well, and we also fully acknowledge that you need a great graphics card as well. So you're going to need that high-end ATI or NVIDIA card along with this Extreme Edition processor from Intel. Hand in hand, that's going to be a great gaming experience.
Now, will this high-end processor also help other folks to do other things, such as, I'm guessing, edit video or do these kind of things that just otherwise suck up some processing speed and power?
It's a great question, and absolutely. Honestly, for the things like video and 3D and the stuff you guys, I see a lot of video cameras here.
Sure.
You're going to be doing some editing as well. This is up to a 50% improvement in a lot of these kind of tasks, 3D, video, encoding. So, I mean, if you're doing video or 3D all day for a living, when you hear numbers like 50%, that makes a bottom line to your business.
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, of course.
I mean, you're not only as an editor, for example, you can be much more productive, but just anything that you're needing to put in and deal with is going to render faster and deal with it faster and allow you to be more creative.
Absolutely.
And hopefully then more valuable in your employment. And everybody's thinking about how can I add value to what I'm doing and stay employed these days.
Yes.
There's another great example, too. So where else do you see this headed? I mean, how many more brains does a processor need before we pretty much have it covered? Or are we just going to keep going?
Well, it's going to depend on a lot of things. I think 6-core, 12-thread for desktop client is going to be it for a while, for the foreseeable future.
So we have some future-proofing there when we can save up and get this one.
Exactly. And, bottom line is a lot of it does depend on the software. Now, also remember, multitasking will benefit. So if everyone has an IM window, Facebook, email,
multiple browser windows, all this stuff,
Now, I don't think a lot of people play a first-person shooter and then do all that stuff at the same time, but you do a lot of other multitasking. So for that, it is absolutely great.
Terrific. Well, then, what else is happening from Intel's standpoint here? I mean, you as PR manager running around this exhibit, for example, like crazy. So many things. I've never seen a busier booth before. This is awesome.
Great. We're ecstatic about it. There's a lot in terms of the hardware. Really, pretty much the Gulftown 6-core 12-thread is the big news here.
Sure.
Our software group, who I'm sure you're talking to several of Jeff Abate's guys this week, they're doing tons of really cool things as well. Everything from new tools for the developers to use all these cores and threads, all the way to contests to find some new talent in the development community.
Doing some cool things with new apps as well. It seems to be all about apps. This is the year for apps, and certainly Intel jumping in there and saying, we got you covered too. So
absolutely.
Doing some very neat things. You got to check all the cool stuff out at Intel.com. And of course, we'll link you there, as always, from Dan's picture on the show page and otherwise. Dan Snyder, Public Relations Manager with Intel. Always a delight to have you with us. You never let us down. There's always fun things to talk about. So,
thank you.
Thanks. We're back with more. There's so much more to cover here in San Francisco this week at the Game Developers Conference, and we want to hear from you. Maybe you've got questions about some of the things Dan was talking about. We'll get answers for you. 800-899-INTO anytime, 24/7. 800-899-4686. Outside of North America, Skype into us even if you like. We'll get your questions answered. I'm Dave Graveline. Into Tomorrow continues from GDC.